Constructicons, merge to form Devastator!
Oh, snap! Hey guys, it's DT. Welcome back to the Big Unboxing Show. Today we are continuing our Transformers series with possibly the biggest Transformer ever created. That's right, today we are taking a look at the Imaginarium Art Devastator. So this thing came on a pallet with two large boxes. Actually, there are three large boxes. One box had two boxes in it. So today it was raining outside. Our driveway was completely flooded. So we couldn't have him drop it off on our driveway like we usually do. He left it on the top of the steps. This thing weighs over 150 pounds. So I had to get the dolly out and slowly bring him down the steps and bring them up the steps through the front door. The boxes were way too big. They wouldn't even fit through the doorway of my office. So I had to unbox this thing upstairs and bring each piece down one at a time. And before we get into the build, let me show you guys some of these pieces up close. First off, we get this nice information card. I guess it's sort of the instructions. It tells you in detail where all the parts are supposed to go. You have to kind of figure out the order for yourself, and that's pretty much it. Nothing on the other side. So let's start off with this giant base, and look at this thing. I don't even know if I want to pick it up. So it looks sort of like a construction site. We've got the dirt, we've got all the little tire tracks, some Autobot pieces, a bunch of metal, scrap metal. This thing weighs a lot. So, yep, there you go. That's as close as you're gonna get. We've got that nice green paint, and it's kind of got this rust effect. We've got some nice details in there as well. I have a couple other Imaginarium Art Transformers. If you guys want to see a review on those, I will probably do that on my other channel, DT's Geek Show, so make sure to head over there and subscribe. Very good size hand there. Just about the same size as mine. So here is a look at Bonecrusher. And if you guys aren't familiar with Devastator, he's basically 6 Constructicons combined into one giant robot. Hence the name Combiners. We've got these purpled out windows on all of these. Some really nice detail there in those wheel treads. Here's a look at Scavenger, very similar design. Of course, he has a giant shovel that attaches to him. These guys are both part of the arms of Devastator. Here is a look at Scrapper, one of the legs. It's kind of harder to see what he transforms into. Man, this guy is heavy. And then on the other leg, we've got Mixmaster, cement truck. There he is. We got that big purple mixer. You can really tell what that one is. Man, I'm getting a workout right now, just holding these things up. And then forming his body, we have Hook and Longhaul. You can see kind of the grill there in front, the headlights. And then the other guy kind of folds in half. I'll show you guys the actual toy I had as a kid, and you can kind of see how these guys get put together. Here's a look at the side. So just to let you guys know, the next statue I unbox is actually going to be bigger than this one. I know it's kind of hard to believe, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Here we have the little shovel for Scavenger. This is actually a lighter material, which can be a good thing. We definitely don't want anything to break. Kind of see the brush strokes in there and the paint from far away. Monet. The wheels look pretty clean considering these guys are construction vehicles. It has a few different colors in the tread. Here is the gun. Look at that. Looks like this piece comes off, and we can place some batteries in there, and this thing, I guess it lights up. Here's a look at his chest plate. Very iconic part of Devastator. As we can see here, we've got the Decepticon logo. Got a screaming portrait, very blocky G1 look to it. He's got the red visor. I believe the toy had a yellow visor, but I believe the cartoon or the comic book had red. We have this other portrait. At first glance, you might think it's the same portrait, but it is slightly different. There are fewer details on his face. I guess this face is a little bit less robotic, if that makes sense. But here they are together. I'm probably gonna be using the one here on the left. It's just got a lot more detail in it. I like the overall shape a little bit more. We'll try them both on, and you guys can tell me which one you like better. We've got a bunch of other little random add-ons. I think this thing is gonna take me some time to build, so if I wanna be done at any decent hour, I think I better get started. All right, guys, so that was a look at some of the pieces in the box. You ready for this? Let's put this thing together. is Devastator. So surprisingly, Devastator didn't make his first appearance in this book right here. He actually first appeared in issue number 10 in 1985. We've got him here on the cover, basically destroying a bunch of Autobots, Bumblebee included. And here is a look at my original G1 Devastator. This thing at the time was probably one of the coolest Transformers around. Not only were there 6 individual Constructicons that transformed into robots, but they could all combine to form Devastator. And as I look at the Constructicons today, they look a little weird. They're not the most aesthetically pleasing figures. They're kind of awkward looking. And Devastator here is a little bit stiff. You can kind of move his arms around, but his legs are kind of locked in place. All right, so that was a look at some of the old stuff. Let's check out this new guy. So this thing was quite a chore to assemble. I don't think I've ever been as nervous. If you guys want to see the longer version of me trying to put this thing together, you can check it out on my other channel, DT's Geek Show. There was some frustration, some things break. It was quite an interesting build. Very, very heavy statue. Unfortunately, I have to break this thing down so I can move it. And I'm actually building a custom case for it. But in the meantime, it's probably gonna have to live on the floor of my office. It barely fits onto the turntable. There are some issues, we'll get into that in a bit, but let me give you a little tour of this guy. Starting off, we've got this very large base. At first I thought it was a construction site, but the more I look at it, it looks like it might be the Ark. There's some really good ground detail and paint. We've got all these rocks on the outside, and then we've got these metal pieces sticking out of the ground. We've also got some fallen Autobot pieces here. I don't believe it's Optimus Prime, but it definitely has that same color scheme. This is part of their Legacy of Cybertron line, which, believe it or not, is a smaller scale than their regular Transformers line, but obviously you wouldn't want to make this guy any bigger. Devastator himself is pretty amazing. Of course, we've got the green and purple. We've got all this little rust effect going on too. We've got all these little mechanical parts from his head to his toes. Tons of little pieces that you have to kind of key in and figure out where they go. I think they did a great job with the overall artistic design of this. I love all the details in the individual Constructicons. We can clearly see who is who, what kind of vehicle they are. We got all these wheels up here on the sides. I know some people didn't like that the windows were the solid purple color, but I don't mind that because that's exactly how they are on the toy. Of course, the toy looks like a piece of plastic. I guess they could have added a little bit more to make it a little more realistic, but it does have some subtle shading in there as well. I think they could have added some more paint detail right here on the mixing portion of Mixmaster. Up in the chest plate, the purple paint on that is very well done, and the hands aren't too bad either. But the little mixer here does look a little bit flat. So I wish they had done a little bit more with that part. Overall, the paint job is really good. Very cool to see Devastator in action. So the main issue I had with this piece was sort of the fit of the parts. If you guys watched the longer assembly video, you'll see that I had a hard time getting these two legs together. We have to key in both of these feet and the tops of them connect to each other. They were very far apart. So I had to do a bunch of adjustments in order to get them to where they are right now. They're not fully keyed in, both on the left and the right foot, which worried me a little bit since this guy weighs over 100 pounds. So imagine if this whole thing came crashing down. It wouldn't be good for him, and it wouldn't be good for anybody standing under him. It feels pretty solid. Of course, it's on this turntable, which is not very solid. At this point, I'm pretty confident that it's not going to fall over. There are some areas that still have me nervous for the long term. One being his right arm. It is only held in there by a key that doesn't fully seat in there. So after you install his very heavy right arm, you still have to put Scavenger on that arm as well, which basically pulls that arm down even further. I think it would have been a good idea with a piece this heavy to use some kind of screw attachments. We saw that with the New 52 Batman, where he actually screws into the wall. But here we just rely on gravity and friction. But if there was an earthquake or this piece was under a lot of vibration, that arm could become dislodged and tumble onto the ground. Because of the poor fit of the legs, some of the pieces don't really line up with their indentations on the base. We've got his heel here kind of floating above the floor. Same goes with some of the pieces that look like they're supposed to be making contact with the base. But when you're standing back, you don't really notice that. So it's definitely not a deal breaker for me. He does come with a few different switch outs. We've got more of his animated series face. He does have a very boxy looking head, but he did in the toy as well. Personally, I like the one with a little more detail. They do, of course, both light up. The updated one looks like he has a little bit more emotion, so that's why I'm choosing that. And he also comes with another fist. And this thing is pretty cool because it kind of looks like a little statue in itself. But you can switch this out if you don't want this giant gun. I kind of like the gun because it kind of balances the piece out. Without the gun, now it really wants to go to the right. And this thing doesn't weigh a whole heck of a lot, so we can put it in there. I think it looks pretty cool, and it does save you quite a bit of width. But for weight distribution and the pure awesomeness of this gun, I think I'm gonna have to display it with this. So here we have the Imaginarium Art Skywarp, just to give you guys an idea of what an average size Transformer looks like next to this big guy. And these guys are in the same scale. Okay guys, so there you have it. That was a look at the Imaginarium Art Devastator. Pretty awesome piece, probably the biggest Transformer I'll ever own in my collection. This guy is huge. Even if I wanted a bigger Transformer, I don't think I could fit it. However, as I mentioned earlier, the next statue I will be unboxing is actually bigger and heavier than this guy. If you guys have any guesses as to what that might be, you can leave it in the comments down below. So that'll be the next big statue review from me on this channel. We've also got some Lego stuff, and Evan's got some challenges as well. So stay tuned for that. That's the video. Make sure to check out my other channel, DT's Geek Show, if you like this kind of content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.